am going to walk through a couple of things out of this beautiful packet of information. You should have seen one of these. You should have already read one of these for yourself. If not, if you're new and you haven't filled out your background check, this is the document that you are saying you have read through and that you do understand. Okay? It's going to be very clear. If it's been a while and you did this years ago and you're here for your yearly, I'm in the flow of things, revisit this. If you're curious, if there are things that I say or highlight that you're not familiar with, we will get you one of these. We've got electronic copies. We'll email you, and we may have a couple here today. But this is where all the good stuff is, and the stuff we have to really pay attention to, and we agree to uphold. Reminder, this comes from the introduction on the first page. I think this is really important. Do you understand why we are together today? Our Christian faith calls us to offer both hospitality and protection to the little ones in our lives, our children. Our social principles, a guiding book that really undergirds our movement as a United Methodist Church says this: children must be protected from the economic, physical, and sexual exploitation and abuse of all things. Tragically, our church acknowledges this. Tragically, churches have not always been safe places for children. Sometimes abuse and exploitation happens in churches, both large, small, urban, and rural. This problem cuts across all economic, cultural, and racial lines. God calls us to make our churches safe places, protecting children and other vulnerable persons from abuse. Since 1996, the General Conference, which is actually meeting right now, of the United Methodist Church has mandated that each local congregation have their own child youth protection policy, which we have. This is important, all right? Thank you for taking the time to honor this with your presence, because it is important. Any questions about why we take it so seriously? I don't think there would be, but we do take it seriously, all right? Let's highlight a couple things that are very important for the life of our church as it pertains to this really quickly. There are designated labels that we all have if we are under the jurisdiction of this particular document. There are adult volunteers and screened adults and paid staff people. Lucky for you, the paid staff people are very easy to remember around here. So only a handful of us, and you know who those people are. The other determination is between adult volunteer and a screened adult. And there is a big difference there. I want to make sure that we understand that. An adult volunteer is any adult not paid by the church who serves in any position involving the supervision or custody of minors. This includes nursery, daycare, school, Sunday school, vacation Bible school, drivers, chaperones. Adult volunteers are not screened, and they must be supervised by a screened adult, which is the other designation. Here's what a screened adult is: a volunteer paid staff person who has undergone the church's screening process, which we'll talk about in just a minute. A screened adult does not need to be a church member, but must have been a regular attendee or an active participant in church activities for at least 6 months. You all know that we have very active scouts, many scout troops that be on this campus. Some of those screened adults do not attend here, but they lead on our campus. Therefore, they are under the purview of this. So we do have some screened adults that you probably have never met or been because they lead scout troops on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday night. So you kind of see how that kind of plays out. Our screening process, primarily, what level is our screening process? Elizabeth? Level. Our screening process goes to level, because there are designations. Sorry. It works. Let's just say that. All right. It does bring up traffic violations, which is not going to kick you out for being a youth volunteer, but it does look at particular things. I had someone who I was so excited about being on the youth ministry team back when I worked in Orlando. I was so stoked, and I got his background check, and I got it, and came back, and he had a misdemeanor when he was like 22 for marijuana possession, and then I had to so it does have some of those things on there. I'm not saying that to freak you out. I
there is any sign of physical, sexual, emotional abuse, or neglect that you observe, we are mandated to report that, not only because we are Christian people, and claim to be so, but because we are required to, as an organization, period. We have to respond. Here's how that works here with children and youth. Whoever that screened adult or screened adults are, if you're not one of those, if you're volunteering, you let the screened adult know, they will then in turn know who to communicate with. That person will be the coordinator of your ministry. So those of you that are here for congregational care, that's a call to Nancy Casey and say, hey, we need to have a conversation. I'm a little concerned about blank. Nancy then discerns and calls me. Okay? Same way with youth or children. Right now, if it's a children's ministry matter, you make that phone call to Veronica or send her a text message or right afterwards. Veronica will then contact me. Are we clear on that? That's how that works. We must be very diligent in that. Please, church, please. I've served in several churches, and it's always better to have that private conversation than to be dismissive of it. Because I've seen it. I've seen where people say, well, I didn't know, I didn't think, maybe, and I just kind of waited, and sometimes it's not good way. Sometimes it's good just to have that private conversation with me or the coordinator of ministry, just to be above board on things. Any questions about mandated reporter and our responsibility to report any signs of abuse? All right. Yes. So if you're a CCM, existing congregational care minister, or you will be taking the training in the coming future, this pertains to you because neglect and abuse is not just a child thing. It can also be for elders that may shut in or victims of those circumstances. And we do have realities within our care circle that are very difficult when it comes to some of these questions. It is the nature of loving our neighbor. These things sometimes come into question. So thank you, Nancy, for clarifying that. Here. A couple things to remind you about with children and youth, and these are really, some of these are really easy to do, some of these aren't always easy to do, and honestly, there's one or two of these things I'm about to say that we've got to do a better job of. There are some policies about supervision of children and youth that I want you to always be mindful of. One is the 2-adult rule. This is a hard one. 2 non-related adults must be present in all non-classroom programs or activities involving children and youth. One of whom must be a screened adult. That's not always the hard part. The hard part is always making sure that we have 2 non-related adults present in all non-classroom programs or any activities involving children and youth. We have to do a better job of that. We don't have a super busy, raucous nursery reality, but we do have kids nursery age, and we do need to do a better job of having support for our paid nursery staff workers, because there are times when I have observed, even though I'm busy on Sunday mornings, that I've been observed that we don't have that second adult, at least consistently within the orbit of the nursery. We've got to do a better job of that. All right, Rebecca? I hear you saying it. 3-year rule. All screened adults, these people that have gone through the screening, must be at least 3 years older than the age group they are supervising. Adults who do not meet this criteria must be under the direction of a screened adult. That usually comes into contact with a young adult hanging out with teenagers. That's usually the most time we bump into that in church. We're not having that issue right now, but that is a reality, so we have to be mindful of that. But also, the windows and, 6-month rule. Adult volunteers working with children and youth must be a member or regular attendee of church at least 6 months prior to working with children and youth. That means that there's a new person that comes in that wants to But again, they can't be a screened adult for at least up to 6 months. They have to kind of be within our orbit. They have to serve alongside the screened adult as an adult volunteer for at least 6 months. There are some changes of that when it comes to keys, based on the discretion of myself. But it's never really about children and youth within the context of this church. For instance, we had a lady join our church, dove right into serving and leading, who has lots of history within ministry and has the trust and has the background check. And it was at my discretion that even though she hadn't been here for 6 months, she still gets a key. And so that's when that onus kind of falls on me. Are you with me? So that sometimes that 6 month key reality, there's some leeway there. When it comes to children and youth, we really stick to that 6 month rule. They need to be around. They need to somewhat know who we are and be trusted before they can be cleared. Windows and open doors. Each room set aside for children and youth must have a door or wall with windows, half doors, or open doors. That's why whenever you see the nursery down there, that's why Rebecca keeps the bottom half of the door closed so that there's no escapees in the asylum. But there's not no, right? And that's just a rule. The children and youth can't be closed off and not visible. So, programs for infant, toddlers, and children's, all the way up to grades K through 2, are released only to parents or guardians, and those designated by them. We work hard to make sure that happens. I trust that we are doing a good job of that, although I'm not in the realm of that reality. I hope that we are going to come out and we need to do better, just making sure that only the people that are responsible for the children are signing them in and signing them out. I feel for certain that's happening in the nursery, or want to make sure that's happening within children's church. Okay? Christmas and it's good. Those don't pertain to us. Let me say this. We're having an emergence right now, really trying to build some youth ministry activities with First United Methodist and combining our youth ministries so we can be stronger together. Some of these realities of counseling and having conversations, just a reminder, those of you that help with youth ministry, when you're having those conversations with teenagers, always make sure that that's in a public, visible place, not behind closed doors. And so just know that even if they would prefer it, you have to at least go outside where you're visible and not some private place where no one can hear that conversation, or within a large space or with the door open. So just be mindful of that, because that is my prayer that as we get re-engaged with youth ministry, this conversation will start happening. All right. There are lots and lots and lots of other things that I could really go over, but those are the ones that I felt were most important to us to be reminded. There are no adjustments or changes that have been made to this since we met last year, so there's nothing new for me to share with you. It's just reminding you of what's already in there and making sure that you have that information and opening up this time for your questions. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Do you have any questions about things in this document that either I said or didn't say, or you need clarification of Jim?
I think the signing in is always hard, and I find this exactly what he said about that, but the signing in is when we go to children's church, there is
There is no signing. Correct.
so I have to sign themselves in, or I just initial their initials to show that they're there.
No. Yeah. That is a challenge.
Yes, there's no way out there.
Yeah, because when they are dispersed, they're not dispersed with the parents. It's not like they're checking it in at the beginning at 10:30. They're leaving from here. You're right. You're right. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. 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 That would be great. Ashley mentions that it may be a good idea to have just a standard list on those Sundays, of just our normal kids that we're used to seeing, and an adult floater that day, because we usually try to have an adult floater each Sunday. That maybe one of their tasks is to ask those families Yes, ma'am.
ask for everybody who's new, well, and those who've gone through the security thing a long time ago, how often does that happen?
That's Elizabeth's question. She's talking to Miss Mary. Yeah. I think it's 3 years too. Yeah. Every 3 years we're supposed to run background check on you. So that means some of you are like, alarm, because you can't remember when you did it last, right? So that's going to be on us in the office to clarify that with you all. And so we'll be reaching out to you and saying, hey, you're a little overdue, we're just going to run a quick background check again. And so we'll work to do that. And for budgetary reasons, we probably will do all years in the same month. So that may be rolling out, over the next several months, kind of get you guys taken care of. All right. Any other questions? Well, if they've been here a while and they want to jump in and serve,
What was the question?
I'm sorry, the question, she's trying to understand what delineate between adult volunteer and screened adult.
Like, what would prompt someone to be a student adult versus simply, volunteer?
Yeah.
Screened adult is anybody who's gone through this process?
No, like, why would someone, I mean, I am, because I have a kid in church, but I also work with kids, but, like, I don't know if we have some of our members who, maybe just, they're gonna go hold things in the nursery, like, they're just an adult volunteer, but what would, they're screened allowed?
Yeah, there are certain levels that we're going to push to make sure they're screened, but our policy allows for an adult volunteer to serve alongside screened adult. So there are certain ways, because our church is so small, and I would say if someone's going to be holding my baby, I want them screened. But our policy does allow that flexibility to where if someone wants to, let's say next Sunday night, youth group, if someone within our church says, I kind of want to see what it's like hanging out with teenagers, but they scare me, what do you want to do? I would say, come hang out, come spend some time with us, and officially they're an adult volunteer. Because there's a looseness to what they're doing, because I'm a screened adult, and therefore they're serving beside them. And then, if they say, the way that the way that Sharon and W have said, they don't scare me, I like these little boogers. When they say, no, I want to be here, that's when I say, well, if you're going to be here consistently, if you're going to be in the lives of these teenagers, I need you to fill out this packet and become a background check. Do you see how that progression flows? The adult volunteer really is kind of set up to quickly transition people into the responsibility of being a screened adult.
Additionally, for our big events, when we have everybody from the congregation there, it covers that as well.
Right. Yeah. So it means that for trunk or treat, not everyone that shows up has to be a screened adult. They can be a volunteer, because they can be here for an event. For the event I talked about June 8th, not everybody here is going to be, doing all the things. It's going to be a screened adult. There'll be other people outside of you fund folks, but we're going to be the screened adults because we have a little bit more responsibility and we understand, hey, we're going to have a lot of kids on our campus. We need to keep an eye out and be responsible. Cool? Go ahead.
For like nursery, because I'm paid staff, do I probably the same sort of rank as this thing?
Yeah, you count by me.
Okay.
And I Elizabeth.
So would you still need a screened adult to have the adult volunteer if there's also a compete or that?
You are a screened adult and a paid staff person. So you fit both realities. The same way as if Elizabeth and I were down there in the nursery, rocking babies. We're both a screened adult and we're paid staff. By virtue of being paid staff, you have to be a screened adult. Because you can't be on staff if you can't